By the 1820s, Petersburg was developing into a major industrial city. The backbone of the city's workforce was enslaved labor. At this highly visible downtown known as Corling's Corner, intersection known as Corling's Corner, local manufacturers, railroad companies, building contractors, and private individuals respected and rented enslaved people to work for one-year terms in their businesses and homes. Petersburg's tobacco factories were probably the largest users of rented labor. At the end of every year, enslaved men and women were hired under a legal contract that set forth the renter's obligations to the owner. The rental of bondspeople was quite common in the South before the Civil War. This is Corling's Corner in Petersburg. Let's go. Good afternoon, good people. This is P9 with another video, and I am here in the independent city of Petersburg, Virginia. Petersburg has a population of 33,458. The majority of that population is a black population. And I am 21 miles south of the capital city of Richmond. And I'm about to take a walk down Franklin Street here in downtown Petersburg. And the first location where I'm at is outside the U.S. Post Office. As you can see right here, this is the U.S. Post Office building right here in Petersburg. Now, Petersburg is located at the fall line, which is the head of navigation of rivers on the East Coast. And it's on the fall line of the Appomattox River, which is a tributary of the longer and larger James River, which flows east to meet the southern mouth of the Chesapeake Bay after Hampton Roads Harbor and the Atlantic Ocean. So Petersburg is located near a river, major body of water. And check this building out right here. This building, it has a progressive Linux on the side of it, or the progressive index, I should say. So I'm guessing the progressive index is the publication right here in Petersburg. We start off with going this way. I'm over here on Sycamore Street, which is a major drag off of at the corner of Franklin and Sycamore Street. They even have a postcard of Petersburg right there. So as you can see, Petersburg is an old historical city. right here, not far from Richmond. And it was once a transportation hub, still pretty much is to this day. But it was established it was founded back in 1748. So we're talking mid 18th century. So again, one of the oldest cities, one of the oldest established cities in the country. And what you see here on Sycamore Street, just a bunch of mom and pop stores. You'll also see some salons and some hair braiding establishments. Goes one right here, Jenny's African Hair Braiding. Butterworks. Yeah, that used to be, it looks like that used to be a department store called Butterworks back in the day. But that building is actually occupied by a Center for Contemporary Art. And check out this building. It's a National Bank building. Also a member of the Federal Reserve. We pay interest two kinds, 4% and personal starter savings account. Yeah, get that savings account with that annual yield interest, build that money up. And it's like right across the street is another bank building. It's now occupied by the Office of Commonwealth Attorney. But it was once a Petersburg Savings and Insurance building. So that's nice. And there's an apartment building right here as well. So this part of Petersburg is called the Courthouse Historic District. You know. And this is actually the courthouse right here. And being that Petersburg is an independent city, this is not a county courthouse. This is just, it's just simply a courthouse, I guess. This Greek Revival building was constructed between 1838 and 1840, designed by New York architect Calvin Pollard as the city's Hutchings Courthouse. The term hustings derives from a British form of court system loosely in place in Virginia today and refers to a public space where political campaign speeches are made. Until the 20th century, the building housed the city's administrative buildings as well as a variety of courts. So Underground Railroad conductor Captain William Bayless in 1858 had a significant trial here at this courthouse. And also it was a major site for the siege of Petersburg that took place, of course, during the Civil War. So there goes the courthouse over here. As you can see, very historic building. Flower Girl Florist. So a slew of buildings down here. The typical Main Street. And being that this is Virginia, you know, row houses are common in this part of the country as well, like the Mid-Atlantic, East Coast. They even have a bookstore right here. Resist Booksellers. You have a gift shop. So they do have a lot of functional businesses down here on Sycamore Street, which is pretty good considering how old Petersburg is. And check this out. They even have art on the ground. And these were done, looks like elementary school students. So the sidewalks are nicely decorated. You know, of course, give this city some flavor. Dixie Restaurant. And check this out. You have this restaurant, what looks like a restaurant chill area. Right beside it, you have this mural. And this mural was done by Matt Lively. And it's a really nice mural. Looks like a tree with a bunch of houses and birds and bees. It's pretty nice. We have an antique gallery over here as well. Mm-hmm. Trading post. So these are some extremely old buildings. Look at the siding of those. Those look like those typical colonial buildings that you see a lot of in this area. They got a burger spot over there too. Comeback Burger. So a lot of Civil War history here in Petersburg. They have the Virginia Civil War trails. There's also a historically black university here in Petersburg, Virginia State University. And check out this fountain. Now this marker right here illustrates the early English exploration, which in 1650, Fort Henry, which is now Petersburg, marked the western and southern extent of English settlement and knowledge of Virginia. On August 27, 1650, Edward Bland, merchant and land speculator, and Abraham Wood, frontier militia commander, left Fort Henry on the first documented English exploration on the south side of Virginia. Pyancha, an Appomattox guide, led Bland, Wood, and 4 others through the territory of the Nottoway, Meherrin, and Hockamowank Indians for 9 days. They probably reached the falls of the Roanoke River near Weldon, North Carolina, before returning to Fort Henry. This was the first of a series of explorations that departed from Fort Henry under Abraham Wood's auspices. So yes, you know, those were the encounters of those different Indian tribes. Bland Wood led the Appomattox guide. So these words are they're pretty hard to pronounce, but you know, these were the Native American tribes that originally occupied this land. So you see a lot of establishments, and like, you know, they do have a river, the Appomattox River, that is named after these native tribes. And check this out. It's like a little art area, kind of like in the arts district of Petersburg. I'm now in the Old Town Historic District. And check this out. This is 1864 to 1865, the bombardment of Petersburg. Again, that's during the Civil War. And a local historian once wrote that during its siege, Petersburg endured an ordeal of shelling which was extraordinary in the history of the world. It was estimated that more than 800 buildings were struck during the 9.5-month campaign beginning on June 19, 1864. Although it appears that fewer than half a dozen residents were killed by the deadly missiles, property damage to the buildings in the city was considerable. So, you know, all these artillery, all this battling that took place during the Civil War ultimately destroyed the city of Petersburg, and they ultimately had to rebuild. And Robert E. Lee's army surrendered at Appomattox Court on April 9, 1865, as Northern occupation forces in Petersburg took it upon themselves to assess the damage from the bombardment. So this is the map from 1865, and this is the map for today. So all of those red dots right here were all the buildings that were destroyed by fire during the Civil War in 1865. So yes, this is a major battle site, battleground during the Civil War. Here's some more history as it pertains to Civil War in Petersburg. And this is a map of Petersburg right here. And you also have a bunch of city sites. You have Petersburg Courthouse, which we saw earlier. And we also have First Baptist Church, among several other sites. So this is pretty much a little guide right here. Petersburg's Old Town. And you have the Appomattox Iron Works building. So Petersburg was industrial with the iron manufacturing. Manufacturing did decline after the transatlantic trade after the revolution, but it did shift more to manufacturing, transportation, commerce, and banking. You know, and of course, it being located on a river helps with the river transportation. And, you know, of course, we had the 9-month siege during the Civil War in Petersburg. And tobacco was also a major crop right here in Virginia and also in North Carolina as well. And You have the Petersburg National Battlefield, which is where the Union troops attacked Confederate defense fortifications here in the city. And this is just basically some images across Petersburg that illustrates these events. Battery 5, Civil War trenches, the Five Forks battlefield. And it goes Union General Philip Sheridan. So there's actually a battlefield site right here. It's a national park here in Petersburg, and there's several museums also that talk about the Civil War. So yeah, they have tons and tons of history. Slavery, Civil War, post-Civil War, Reconstruction era, all of that. And you also have the Old Market Square. And so we're over here at Old Town Petersburg. So this is a map of that. And this is where we are right here by the farmer's market, which is across the street. But let's keep on walking into Old Town, see what we will discover or encounter, I should say. Again, you had a farmer's market over there. And over that way, we're going to have the Civic Center and passenger train station. We'll get to that in just a second. But right here, you have what's called the McElwain House. This house right here was established in 1794, but it was moved to this site in 1972 and restored in 2009. So it's 15 years removed from a restoration. So as you can see, they restored and maintained this home very well. And there's also these brick houses right here. The Brick House Run. And this used to be a poultry market called Raftery's Poultry Market. And again, you have these buildings right here. We'll go check this out over here. And look at this building. This looks like it was once upon a time a warehouse. It's vacant and dilapidated. Like it's basically just in complete shambles. Coming over here towards the old railroad station as well. Yeah, this is Petersburg. So this is the old railroad station, it looks like. I doubt very seriously that it's still in operation as far as having any Amtrak services or anything of that sort. But this is the old building right here, the old depot. Again, a major shipping and transportation hub right here in Petersburg, especially during the old Civil War days. Section of Old Town Historic District. Right across the street are antique malls, old antique malls and antique oddity shops. But right over here, we have this marker of Lieutenant Colonel Howard Ball, a Tuskegee Airman, who was born and raised in Petersburg, and he graduated from what is now Virginia State University in 1941, joined the U.S. Army Air Corps, and completed pilot training at the Tuskegee Army Airfield in 1942. Deployed to Sicily with the 99th Fighter Squadron, Ball flew 135 combat missions during World War II and was credited with 1.5 aerial victories. He later served as Director of Flying Training at Tuskegee. He was awarded the Distinguished Flying Cross, the Air Medal with 3 oak leaf clusters, the French Legion of Honor, and the Congressional Gold Medal. A '06 Virginia Aviation Hall of Fame inductee, he was buried in Arlington National Cemetery with full military honors. So shout out to Colonel Howard Ball, Tuskegee Airman. Yeah, you know, it's an honor to be part of that history of being a airman, especially being from the city of Petersburg. But you have this old building right here, which is called the Peppercorn. And you also have Petersburg Station. So that headed the other direction, you have the Greyhound Station. So I guess it's down Sycamore Street, I presume. A photography studio and an arts and culture photography studio this way. So this building used to be the Appomattox Iron Works. Now the Appomattox Iron Works, this building was actually established in 1872. And again, it was a huge manufacturer of iron. It produced these, it manufactured the iron primarily for the railroads. So Petersburg had a bit of both worlds. They had agriculture with the tobacco, and they had an industry with the shipbuilding and iron manufacturing. And these are apartment buildings right here, which I'm sure at one point in time was again a warehouse. Let me go ahead over here and get this mural. Looks like a parrot, a bunch of plants, a bunch of house plants, and you have the house cat right here. Really dope mural. This was done by Lisa Mystery 2022. And there is the Instagram social media tag, Momo Kitty 66. Okay. Shout out to Lisa for that really nice work of art. Let me go ahead and head down this way. Looks like a bunch of iron sculptures over here. Wow, this is really dope right here. Some more iron sculptures. So it looked like this is where they would basically make metal, iron production, things of that sort. This is very interesting. We wasn't expecting to see something like this. I know people gather here probably on weekends. This is a Tuesday, so it's not really much going on downtown, but I could imagine this area over here, they be having events over here. There's no way that they don't use this for anything at all, you know. I mean, they have the benches, and they have that little sound stage or whatever you want to call it. And this work of art is really nice. You see butterfly, you see a white and a black child in harmony right there, holding hands. The butterfly symbolizes peace. This is done by Andy Peach. Really like how they styled their name. Andy Peach, the hearts as the dot over the eye. And there goes the illustration where it looks like a 10-legged dog? Interesting. And also want to give a shout out, those are nice butterflies right there, by the way, to Zell_XX. So that's the social media handle. Really nice work of art right there on that electrical box. And this is also another nice work of art. Also, Zell_XX did this really nice sculpture. It just looks like the silhouette or the drawing of a woman with no face, but the face symbolizes, it looks like where her face should be, it has the Saturn and the crescent moon. So I guess symbolizing the galaxy, the universe, something of that sort. But really nice work of art nevertheless. I like the colors, the purple, the blue, and the black. They coordinate and blend so well. And this is, again, Zell_XX with the beautiful work of art. Pretty quiet neighborhood. A restaurant, a seafood restaurant called Shut Your Mouth. Soul food restaurant, so Shut Your Mouth. MOUF. This is the South indeed. And it was here at this site where a dwelling house stood, constructed about 1764 by prosperous tobacco merchant Richard Hanson, who, as a fervent loyalist, fled Virginia in 1776. During the latter part of the Revolution, the structure became known as the Golden Ball Tavern. According to tradition, British officers serving under Cornwallis were quartered here in 1781. When Petersburg was incorporated as a town in 1784, the town council and the courts used the tavern as their first meeting place. The structure was enlarged by 1820 and utilized as a hotel until after the Civil War, when it was used for a number of retail ventures. The building was demolished in 1944. So yes, it was where at this site right here, where there was it was once a tobacco merchant, a house, and eventually a hotel until it was ultimately demolished. And I also want to get this over here. Check this out. This is like an old prison from back in the Civil War days, old fortification or something. It's a rubble stone structure. Okay. Check that out. So it was originally occupied by the Native Americans, of course. But the building today consists mostly of the remnants from a disastrous fire in the late 20th century. So it was a block and tackle arrangement to lift goods from one story to another. So there's some history right here pertaining to this building. And sold to the, I can't read that, the trading station of Major Peter Jones about 1675, owner of Peters Point, afterward Petersburg. Okay. Nice, interesting history. Postcards of Petersburg right here on Sycamore Street. And you have a postcard that has Union Station, which is located nearby on River Street. And the North and West Railway completed construction in 1910. It served passengers for both the North and Western and Atlantic Coastline Railroads until 1971, when it became an Amtrak station. When passenger lines ceasing operation or being diverted to other stations, Union Station concluded operations in 1977. Today it serves as a venue for private and public events. So yeah, there you have it right there, Union Station. We saw that earlier. That's what it's used for. And there's the old postcard plastered on this wall right here of the old Union Station. And railroad travel, of course, during that time was a very prominent method of transportation. at the corner of East Bank and Sycamore Street. It's the Chesterfield. I'm over here in Chesterfield County, so I'm actually outside the city limits of Petersburg. Just beyond that line over there is the city of Petersburg, which is an independent city, but now I am in Chesterfield County in this town called Ettrick, and this is where the Appomattox River is located. So the Appomattox River is right over here. Is it Appomattox or Appomattox? I don't know. I don't know. I'm probably butchering the pronunciation, but those who know. It is the town of Ettrick, which is a census designated place in Chesterfield County, and this is where the Virginia State University campus is located, which is a historically black university here in the city of, or the county rather, of Chesterfield, outside of the Petersburg city limits. But they have like a little garden. I'm over here on Tabb Street in downtown Petersburg. The reason why I came down Tabb Street is for a couple of historical buildings on this street. One of them including this historical building, historical house right here, and this historical home. And it sits adjacent to the Tabb Street Presbyterian Church. You see this Greek Revival building right here. It's the Tabb Street Presbyterian Church, another historical building, downtown Petersburg. And you also have City Hall for Petersburg. And this old building right here. And over here we have another historical building, which is Hotel Petersburg. This is on the Historic Hotels of America, historic preservation. So very historic building, and it's still a functional hotel to this day. Hotel Petersburg even has a bar right here in the lobby area, little lounge area. So it's a nice little hotel if you want to come stay in the heart of the city of Petersburg. Nice exterior. If I had to give Petersburg, if I had to give it a score on a scale of 1 to 10, as far as the downtown, the way it's structured, designed, I have to give it an 8.5. I have to give it an 8.5. I mean, yes, a lot of these buildings are super old. Not a whole lot of modern architecture down here, but they preserve these buildings very well, and at least, you know, the majority of these buildings are occupied in functional establishments, so that's pretty cool. City of Petersburg Office of Fiscal Management. Okay. We passed by this earlier, but here's a couple of structures and artwork right here outside the Ward Center for Contemporary Art. Now here comes an abandoned part of this building right here. A couple of vacant spots over here, but I haven't seen a ton of those downtown Petersburg. Oh, there's another one right here. There's one across the street as well, but not as many as I initially expected, so it's not bad. And I wanted to end this video right over here at this mural. This beautiful mural with all these beautiful sisters right here. Nice colors, very colorful. Very colorful, very nice. Showing off the the vibrance of the black sisters, the black women here in Petersburg. Black women of different shades. Chocolate, mahogany, all of that. And this sculpture right here, or this mural rather, was designed by, I think that says AUZ_can. So shout out to AUZ_can. I don't know if this pronounced alls or not, but either way, go check this muralist out. Really, really nice artwork done right here. And with that in mind, good people, this concludes my vlog. I'd like to thank everybody who tuned in to this video. And if you made it this far, make sure you hit that like button. And also, if you're new to this channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button along with the notification bell. That way you get notified each and every time I drop a new vlog. And also, if you're feeling a little generous, you can also donate to my PayPal or my Buy Me a Coffee. The links in the description box to both of those, PayPal and Buy Me a Coffee. And, you know, any donation, big or small, is greatly appreciated. And all donations will go towards the channel, the content of the channel. So I appreciate everybody. Just make sure, you know, everybody has a great day. And thanks again for watching and tuning in. Until the next video, peace. I'm over here in Chesterfield County, so I'm actually outside the city limits of Petersburg. Just beyond that line over there is the city of Petersburg, which is an independent city, but now I am in Chesterfield County in this town called Ettrick, and this is where the Appomattox River is located. So the Appomattox River is right over here. Is it Appomattox or Appomattox? I don't know. I don't know. I'm probably butchering the pronunciation, but those who know. It is the town of Ettrick, which is a census designated place in Chesterfield County, and this is where the Virginia State University campus is located, which is a historically black university here in the city of, or the county rather, of Chesterfield, outside of the Petersburg city limits. But they have like a little garden